Choosing a jury is one of the hardest things to do in any kind of a case. I want to tell you a story about the first jury that I ever picked. Now, I wasn't even a lawyer yet. I was actually still in law school. I had a provisional license in Virginia to go ahead and practice law. I was working in a prosecutor's office and they allowed me to try a jury trial. So I walked into the courthouse that day, and you got to understand, I was just a young attorney. It was my first time. I was so nervous and excited. Walked through the security gates, walked into that big open courtroom. Of course, it wasn't a huge case, and the courtroom wasn't full. It was really just, you know, me prepared, the defense attorney, the defendant, and the people that we were going to select for a jury. Well, when it became my turn to pick a jury, I was just over-prepared. I had tons and tons of questions to ask everybody, everything I could think of. Nobody had really ever taught me how to pick a jury, and in fact, none of these lawyers had any idea either. So when I started asking questions, I would ask people, you know, where they lived, what they did for work, if they had family, if they had kids. What I was doing is I was using my own presumptions of these people to decide how these people think. So essentially, if somebody was an engineer, in my mind, I would say, well, this is a very thoughtful person. They're going to make sure that you have everything in line before they're willing to vote guilty. If somebody was a nurse, I would say, oh, this is going to be a very caring person. They might be more sympathetic to the defendant in this case because they're naturally a more caring person. Now, this was probably the biggest mistake that you could ever make when picking a jury, and it is what most lawyers do. Why is it a mistake? Well, to be honest with you, people are different, even though they have some of the same qualities. And I'm using my experiences with an engineer or with a nurse and applying it to everybody. And that's just not the case. There are engineers that are Democrats and Republicans. How can they have two separate, distinct thought processes, yet they have that same career path? Well, it's because everybody's different. So what I have developed is a way to pick a jury in which you actually ask people questions that are relevant. You ask them how they feel about certain situations. You ask them how they feel about hypothetical situations. You ask them, you place them in situations that are similar to your own client. You know, you ask them, hey, have you ever been in a disagreement with somebody? Well, tell me what that was like. Why would I do that? Because my client is obviously disagreeing with the other party in the case. So this is one of the techniques that I have used. But the biggest benefit that you get out of picking a jury is not asking people where they live, what they do for work, or what kind of family they have. It's telling your story, connecting with them so that they like the lawyer. What I want them to do is I want them to trust me. I want them to understand that when I say something, they need to take it seriously and really consider it. And while I'm telling the stories, I'm using hypotheticals to train them what my defense is going to be. I want them to put themselves in the position of my client. And so the whole time my goal is to train them to think like me and to think like my client. And this way of picking a jury is completely against anything that's taught in law school or what other lawyers do. Other lawyers are wasting time getting information that doesn't help at all, which is great, and I hope they continue to do that. Because what I want to do, I want the jury to trust me. I want to be their leader. I want them to listen to me and put themselves in the same position as my client. My name is Benjamin Von Shook. I'm a trial lawyer in Atlanta, Georgia. If you have a case that you think you might need to go to trial on, go ahead and give me a call.